Got caught in the middle of my friend's emotional affair. Now I'm torn between exposing his secret to his wife and keeping my job. I, 38F, met my friend Dave, 42 male, about 4 years ago in an online gaming forum. During the entire time we talked, I became friends with his wife Brenda, 43F, and he became friends with my fiancé Mikkel, 38 meters. I live by the rule in a relationship that if there is conversation that I wouldn't feel comfortable showing my significant other, then I don't need to be having that conversation. At no point did Dave ever cross a line with me, nor was there ever inappropriate conversation. This is important. About a year and a half ago, summertime, Mikkel got a big promotion and we hosted a fun weekend-long celebration at our home. We invited Dave and Brenda, who live 5 hours from us, and this was the first time we actually met them in person. I instantly connected with Brenda, as she was so authentic and sweet. We all got along well, and even started talking about doing future get-togethers and vacations. It seemed perfect. At this time my company was doing major layoffs and I was looking for a new career. Brenda has worked at a remote company for over a decade and recommended I apply. After a few intense interviews, I was hired. Quick side note, Dave had been injured in work-related accident that had gone to court. He sued and won. He was permanently disabled because of the accident and can no longer work at his profession. That, along with a large life insurance policy from his parents, he is financially set for life. He stays home and raises their daughter Leah, 5, while Brenda does her remote work from the house as well. So, a little over a year ago, during the fall, a few months after the celebration weekend, Dave and Brenda were getting ready to take their daughter Leah, 5, on a vacation. Before they left for the airport, Dave said he needed to talk to me. It was urgent, so I stepped away to take the call. Dave then told me he had why nobody else to talk to this about, and was deeply depressed, and needed to confide in me as a friend. I really wish he hadn't. He told me that the night before he had gotten into a huge fight with who he calls his best friend, Rachel, 41F. I had heard about Rachel but never met her, and didn't know too much about her, to be honest. What I did know, Dave, Brenda and Rachel had been friends in college, approximately 20-year-long friendship. She had visited at Dave and Brenda's house several times over the years, and that Rachel allegedly had been in a string of bad relationships of which Dave had to bail her out financially a few times. That's about it. Here comes the information that I wish Dave hadn't told me, as it has completely changed how I view my friend. Dave told me that Rachel confessed to him the night before that she knew he was attracted to her. Yes, she is gorgeous. Dave said he has always been attracted to her physically, but mentally her personality, specifically her shallowness, was a huge turnoff for him. Some unkind things were said about Brenda letting herself go since having Leah, which disgusted me. He then said Rachel confessed that she is frustrated with her never-ending chain of bad relationships and wants to finally settle down. She knows he is wealthy and can give her the life she feels she deserves. She wants him to leave Brenda and Leah, move to Rachel's city, buy her a large house, and let her be his trophy wife. I choked back a laugh at this because I literally thought it was a joke. Seriously? She admits to not being physically attracted to him. Okay, who says things like that? But knows she can satisfy him and he can give her the lifestyle she deserves. She just demands that he has to completely cut off the life he has now, including all friends and family, and be with her. What is worse, Rachel has been planning this for literally years. Sitting in their home, eating their food, drinking their wine, holding Leah, laughing with Brenda, all while planning this. I was floored. I asked what Brenda thought of all this. He said he didn't tell her. I asked him how Rachel took it when he told her to F off. He said he didn't. He doesn't want to lose her as a friend and he even considered her proposition. I felt sick. I told him I was shocked, and to me, even if he decides not to take Rachel up on it, this is a betrayal to Brenda. Dave explained that while his and my conversations consisted of gaming, stupid memes, and planning potential couples vacations, his conversations with Rachel were emotional and raw. They spoke for hours on end, every single day, while he was caring for Leah, and while Brenda was working in the next room. Okay, you stop. He asked my opinion, and I told him he has two options, either leave Brenda, or completely break off all contact with Rachel and focus on his marriage. But since he asked, in my opinion Brenda needed to know. Especially since she considered Rachel a friend, and knowing that Rachel wants to screw over Brenda and Leah. Seriously, typing this disgusts me. After the call ended I told Mikkel about it. He was as shocked as I was, but asked what I was going to do. I just sat there trying to digest what I had just heard. Dave, Brenda and Leah went on their vacation. During this time we didn't communicate. When he got back he told me that he had cut Rachel off, but refused to tell Brenda about it. Okay, fine, whatever. I don't agree with his action to not tell her, but it's not my life, not my relationship. He asked for advice and I gave it. I told him that in my eyes, he had betrayed his wife, whether physically or not, and I still felt that Brenda deserved to know. Almost immediately I felt myself pulling away from Dave. My image of him was damaged. When I interact with Brenda online for work, I'm professional and friendly, but it's painful keeping this secret. However, as time passed I began to think that perhaps this was over. Dave had just made a stupid mistake and was just thinking about what could be. He didn't actually leave her, right? And most importantly, he cut Rachel out. Dave and I began talking a bit more. I actually thought maybe things can go back to the way they were. Since didn't actually physically cheat, maybe it's best that Brenda doesn't know, for her own mental health and happiness. Maybe we can move past this. So many thoughts going through my mind. So many ways of rationalizing this. The mental gymnastics were Olympics level impressive. Then about a month ago he drops the bomb. He tells me that Rachel and he are talking again. She allegedly begged him for forgiveness, and cried that she is going through another horrible breakup and needs his friendship, or else she doesn't know what she might do. He said he is going to keep her at arm's length, but she needs him. He will just be there for her a little bit, but it won't be like it was before. Oh holy night. To my chagrin, love that word, as the weeks pass he begins to mention her more and more. I tell him I don't want to hear about her, and when he keeps going I finally snap and tell him not to mention her to me at all. I'm so pissed that he is talking to her again, and that he doesn't care about how me knowing this is putting more guilt and strain in my mind, especially when I have to interact with his wife. It's completely unfair that he told me about his situationship with Rachel, knowing that I consider Brenda a friend, and that we work together every day. I've begged him to tell Brenda about it. She has the right to decide if she wants to stay. And most of all that he is actively still friends with a woman who wishes hurt and pain on his wife and little girl. How do you sleep at night, sir? Dave still talks about planning vacations together with Mikkel and I, but I don't even respond. Honestly, I don't see how I can sit at dinner with them and keep quiet, especially if Rachel were to get brought up in conversation, and a special, why if wine is involved. And let's be honest, there will be wine. I have one of those faces that speaks my mind without saying a word, which is why I do better working remote, versus client facing. I dread the day when / if either Dave or Brenda say that Rachel is coming to visit them again. I can pretend it won't happen, but let's be honest. Dave is a complete moron who managed to somehow miraculously prevent his marriage from going up in flames, only to soak himself in gasoline and open the door to the walking, talking, gorgeous yet shallow lit match. Reddit, help me. I want to cut him out completely because I am so disgusted by his actions, but I know Brenda will be upset and drill me about it. Especially since they have been planning a trip to Europe for next year and wanting us to come. Should I just tell her that we had a falling out? Should I find a way to hint to Brenda not to trust Rachel? I didn't even want to know any of this, and I'm so pissed that he dumped this on me. We were friends, but not that type of friend. As for Brenda, I would want to know if I were friends with and playing host to a girl who wanted to steal my husband, and the father of my child. But I'm also concerned about my job, my livelihood. She's been with the company over 10 years and I've only been a year. I've kept this secret from her for so long. If I say something, can it affect my employment? Should I just pull away from them and when asked make some lame excuse like I am too busy? Edit, I wanted to clarify a few things. When I say friend I mean we are more than mere acquaintances, but we aren't besties. I've always been closer to Dave than Brenda strictly because he's the one who I game with. However, Dave and I never had deep conversations before he unloaded this secret on me. We talked about low TR, Harry Potter, going to festivals, and eventually us joining them on vacations. We haven't so far. Money was too tight for us to join them before Mikkel's promotion, and before I was given this job opportunity, so vacations were something for the future. We've only ever met once in person, for the promotion weekend last summer, but have continuously made plans to visit, or meet up in the city. Due to funds and other hiccups, the plans always fell through. Our friendship was something that we had built to get away from the stress of life. Lighthearted and meant to be fun. As for Brenda, she recommended me for the position at her work but I had to earn the position. She isn't my boss, but she definitely has seniority. Before the conversation with Dave, I had high hopes for Brenda and I becoming closer and us all being good friends down the road. Unfortunately, since this happened last year, I have kept my distance and didn't nurture my relationship with Brenda. I have no proof. The conversation where he told me everything was over the phone, and I didn't record it. Plus I'm in a two-party state, so I think I could get in trouble for that. If I tell Brenda it will be my word against his. And if she goes to him, he can deny everything, or even try to spin it against me. This is where I worry it could affect my job. My job is my biggest concern at this point. I do not want to lose my job. I don't want my job to become awkward. I would love to be able to give Brenda a heads up about the situation, but also I can't afford to lose my job. I cannot stress this enough. If I knew I could warn her without harming my own situation, I would. It may sound like my mind is made up, but it's not. I just wanted to add those for clarification and hopes that there is something that can be done. Update 1. I mentioned that I would wait until after Thanksgiving to make my decision as I didn't want to ruin the holiday for Brenda and Leah. During that time I decided that if I lose my job then it would suck, but I know I can get another. I have to do what's right, and what is also best for my mental health. Yesterday with Mikkel's support, I sent out a group message to Hem both saying hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving. To my surprise Brenda replied with yeah not so much. I asked what happened, and she said that Rachel's mom was in the hospital with pneumonia and Dave went to be with her for moral support, and that she was left hosting alone. Dave didn't reply. Mikkel told me that this was the perfect time, and he would support me whatever I chose to do. So I sent I'm amazed how forgiving you are Brenda. I don't think I could be so chill. Dave replied with? But Brenda immediately called me and I put her on speaker. She asked what I meant and I said after what happened last year. With Dave and Rachel. Before you guys left for vacation. She told me to go on, and that's when I knew he had not in fact told her. So I told her everything. I also told her I was sorry, and had tried to convince him to tell her, but that I didn't know if anything more had happened, so maybe there is a chance to fix this. I told her that since Rachel was back in their lives, I assumed they moved past it, maybe since they've been close friends since college. She seemed eerily calm, and said something like, "Oh no, Rachel never went to college. She met Dave online about 10 years ago. She's never been to college or even had a real job." She asked if there was anything else. Reddit, I started freaking out, lost any remaining confidence I had, and told her that the reason I hadn't said anything was because I didn't have any proof, and since working with her I had been worried to say anything about it because I didn't want to risk my job, but not anymore. I was spiraling. Brenda said she had to go and hung up. I just sat there feeling sick. 2 whole hours later Brenda called me back. Some of you called it. When confronting Dave and Rachel, they told her that I had actually propositioned him, and that I was jealous of his and Rachel's friendship, and I wanted what Brenda had. I started shaking and crying. At this point Mikkel interrupted her, and said he had heard parts of the original conversation. Not all, but enough to know that what I had told him afterward was the truth. She tried interrupting him but he cut her off. He said that this had been tearing me up and he was sick of it. He wished her the best, and hoped she could remain professional at work, but after this call he wants Dave out of our life for good. Then he hung up. About 30 minutes later I got a text from Brenda. She apologized for us being dragged into this, said she's mortified that I know, and says Mikkel didn't let her finish. She was just telling us what they said, and then she drops this epic bombshell. She already knows what's up, and has since last year. She just had no idea until then that I knew. You'll get cookies if you call that, BTW. She says the way he acted last year on the vacation, like a heartbroken lovesick puppy, was a huge red flag, and she felt deep down something wasn't right with him and Rachel. As soon as they got back home she started digging, looking through his computer, his phone, and iPad. It's not just Rachel, there's more. She's the only one he's met up with. None of the others wanted him in person, just his money. I asked if she's okay or if she's worried about Dave coming back, but Brenda said she already has a lawyer and has been spending the past several months getting her affairs in order. She was going to give him the divorce papers after Thanksgiving, but with him abandoning them like that, she instead took advantage of his absence to change the locks and start packing his stuff. My information along with her lies just made it easier for her. This chick is so much more badass than I knew. I don't know if changing locks is legal, but good for her I guess. She apologized again for Dave and I told her I was sorry I didn't say something earlier. She told me that if she didn't already know about Dave, and hadn't read a lot of our messages, which she said were pretty boring, ouch lol, she probably wouldn't have believed me. It was an impossible situation. I told her that if she needs to talk we are here. If not, then I'll just be her coworker. Now on to second story. Wife insists on conversion therapy for our son, oblivious to its harm, and I question staying in a marriage that threatens him. My wife, 44F, and I, 45 male, have been married for 14 years. We have 2 kids, a 16-year-old son, let's call him Noah, and a 12-year-old daughter. We've had our fair share of disagreements over the years OFC, but things have generally been smooth between us. Now for the context, Noah came out as gay about a year ago. It was a surprise, and as hard as it was to accept, I love my kids more than anything and just want their happiness. My wife visibly didn't take it well though. She was upset and seemed to go through a grieving period where she didn't really talk about it. I tried to support Noah in every way I could, telling him that I loved him no matter what etc. My wife, though, I could tell she wasn't on the same page. She would say things like this is just a phase or he needs help, but I brushed it off as her needing time. Fast forward to last week, and we were having a conversation about Noah's future. Out of nowhere, my wife casually mentions that she's been looking into conversion therapy camps and thinks it might be the right solution. She said that Noah isn't truly gay, that he just hasn't been shown the right path and that this could fix him. My blood ran cold. I was in shock. I immediately told her I didn't agree and that this was not something I could support. She got upset and said I was enabling Noah's confusion and that if I really cared about him, I would help him get better. WTF is wrong with her? She was persistent, and no matter how much I tried to explain that conversion therapy is harmful, like I know those kids get abused, are ped, and often end up either traumatized or killing themselves, and that I would never send our son to something like that, she wouldn't back down. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't even think I love her anymore. The fact she could be so heartless disgusts me. I know being gay is not easy and people like her just make it even harder. I'm considering staying, only for our daughter's sake, but would it be okay if it means hurting my son? It feels like a betrayal to Noah. I just don't think I can keep living with someone who thinks this is okay. Update 1. So I posted something about my wife wanting to send my son to a conversion camp 2 days ago. First of all, some people told me to show her videos and documentaries about what happens there, but this argument has been ongoing for more than a week now. I've showed her things and she won't budge. Really bad update if I can be honest, so let's get into it. All of you told me to try to get him out ASAP. Y'all were definitely right, so yesterday I took the day off and went to see an attorney just to get some info about divorce etc. But after what happened I'm 100% sure I want a divorce ASAP. Yesterday I went to pick Noah at his school and as many of you suggested we had a long discussion. I basically told him his mom and I may be getting a divorce because she wants to send him to a conversion camp but I can't accept that. I've talked with her many times and I told him I'll probably go through with it. He looked really hurt, my heart broke all over again, but was very understanding and thanked me for standing up for him. I pulled him into a tight hug and told him I'll always love him no matter what and that nothing's his fault. At that moment he started crying because he was so glad at least I was on his side. And I'm very pissed, so sorry if I don't make sense, but apparently his mom had been pressuring him for months. She planned dates with girls to try and fix him and he had to lie by saying he was going at a friend's instead. She was saying he needs help and as much as she loves him he needs to get his condition cured, etc. I feel so bad because I've been so oblivious to all that and I've failed to protect him for all that time. How do you make your 16-year-old son go through that? So when we got home yesterday I can't lie I was furious and confronted her right there and then. At first she was trying to explain she was doing it for him but her speech quickly turned to slurs and it was clear she was just ashamed of having a gay son. In the end I told her I went to see an attorney and that learning all that just confirmed that I want a divorce. She got really angry, calling me a delusional disgrace. We argued a lot and at some point Noah tried to separate us but my wife punched him multiple times. She was saying disgusting things like he is a dirty fag T and that it's all his fault we're getting divorced because his filth corrupted me. My daughter who was prob in her room came to see what all that commotion was about and was rightfully horrified and quickly called 911 when I told her to. Long story short the cops got there and took her away. She was very reluctant to go because she was not in the wrong and they needed to let her go. I explained everything to my daughter and she doesn't want anything to do with her mom anymore. RN I'm in the hospital because my STB ex-wife broke my rib while I was restraining her. I should have probably went as soon as the cops took her but my son was crying, with a black eye and split lip. They are checking for any concussion, and obviously the only thing I cared about was to comfort him because I can't even imagine what it can feel like being beaten by your mom for being gay. I'm planning to file for full custody OFC and my kids don't want to see her ever again anyway. Given all the charges she's facing I hope she won't stand a chance against me. I just sent a mail to my attorney and I hope the procedures will be fast. I've also thought of getting CPS involved but I'm not sure they will really help. Like I cannot understand how you can grown so are resentful of your own kid because of something they can't control. Even I had pretty strong opinions about it, but as a father it is my role to unconditionally love my kids and so I learned about the topic and changed my way of seeing the world for him. It took some time grasping it but I never doubted 1 second the love I have for my child. I thought it was the same for my wife. Visibly not. She's pretty shaken and confused, but she seems to understand the gravity of her mom's actions. I'm so sad she had to be dragged into this mess as well. Good on you for protecting your son, and for your daughter calling police, but there is no way he can safely be around her ever again. We've got a house that is under both our names, and he didn't have a prenup. People have been telling me to change the locks and throw her stuff out, but I just don't know if I can do that. If I can't I'll either go back to my parents with the kids or rent an apartment in the meantime. Update 2. The kind words were overwhelming. To all the trolls saying this is fake, God knows I wish it was. Maybe I didn't make much sense because I was extremely shaken, so I apologize if that's the case. Now, for the update. It's been difficult ever since, but don't worry, this is not a bad update. First of all, I was able to get an emergency custody order. I'm very, very relieved because many of you warned me about how people can have their kids forcefully taken by those conversion camps, and I'm relieved that she can't do that anymore. I'm still overly anxious and only leave my son alone when he's at school. I've instructed all the teachers to make sure no one but me approaches him. Thank God my boss has been understanding on the matter. I've been granted the exclusive use of our house as well, so I've changed the locks and installed security cameras. Many friends and family members, from my side of course, have been visiting often, to give us both emotional support and safety. Many of you also advised me to document every injury that my son and I sustained. Fortunately my son didn't suffer a concussion, so I took plenty of pictures and gave them to my lawyer, and she has also taken my son's and my daughter's testimony. Given all the charges my wife is facing, child abuse both physically and emotionally / neglect / endangerment, assault and battery, hate crime and domestic violence. Yeah, it doesn't look very good for her. Our lawyer is confident that I will 100% be granted full custody. She also said that it's likely SP's attorney will recommend that she gives up her parental rights, given the overwhelming evidence against her. Also T's very likely that my son and I, possibly even my daughter if she asks for it, will be granted a restraining order against her. My lawyer has told me CPS involvement will only strengthen my case, as they are thoroughly investigating everything. While we're still waiting to get the court date, I am feeling highly confident and relieved for the first time since all that shit happened. I've gathered tons of overwhelming evidence against the toxin, thanks to that person who came up with that name. I'll keep everyone updated, and thank you again for all the advice and support my kids and I have received. I honestly don't know how I could have gotten through this without all of you. Y'all just saved a family, be proud. Please also take care of yourself, you need to be 100% for your children. We've already started therapy, both as a group and individually. I know Noah is having a rough time, but it seems he'll be alright.